Please welcome our next speaker, Relentless Royal.
Raise your hand if you want to go to the next level in your life, regardless of what it is or what that next level may look like for you. Yeah, that's what I like to see. That's what I like to see. Now, what I want you all to do for me right now is to high five 2 to 3 people and say, tag, you're it. Come on, say, tag, you're it. Now, you may be wondering, Relentless Royal, why in the world do you have us high-fiving each other, talking about tag, you're it? Allow me to explain. Who would ever thought that a children's game would be a representation of the true meaning of life? Who would ever thought that the map to the next level in all of our lives would be hidden within a concept of a beloved game we all know as tag? Now listen, what I'm about to share with you all is probably one of the most unusual analogies about life you will ever hear. And after today, I might as well become your big brother or little brother, because only someone that loves you will tell you what I'm about to share with you all. Raise your hand if you ever played tag when you were younger. Okay, I see a few hands. I remember playing tag when I was much younger. I would go over to my cousin's house, knock, knock, and then we'd all gather around each other as we put our feet next to one another to do the selection process to see who would be what? It. Now, if you know anything about this game, you know that there's 2 types of players, right? You have the tagger, aka being it, and then you have the runner. The tagger is the person that is almost out of breath, as they are searching and chasing, looking for someone else to tag to be it. And then we have the runner. That's the person that's running for their dear lives across the playground, hoping not to get caught. But if you ever notice something, the person that finally gets caught might not want to be tagged, but they have no choice but to accept the fact that it's their turn to be it. The concept of this childhood game reminds me so much of real life situations when we are forced to step up to the plate, even when we don't want to, even when we didn't volunteer to. Like, I didn't sign up for this. Does anyone here know what I'm talking about? What if the unforeseen situations in all of our lives were designed to be incubators that help prepare us all for our purpose? Let's imagine 3 scenarios. Let's imagine a child in a third world country or underdeveloped country that is left to raise their siblings because their parents died unexpectedly from an airstrike. Let's imagine a woman that had a child with someone that promised her the world. And I mean the world. But because those promises were broken, she became a single mother. Let's imagine an 18-year-old male that just graduated from high school with dreams of his own, but he would soon find out that he has to put his dreams on hold because he is left to take on a responsibility of running his family business by himself because his dad became ill. Now, here's the flip side to these 3 scenarios. All 3 scenarios were designed to be incubators that help usher these people to their purpose. And this is when things get better. That child that became a guardian for their siblings would grow up to be a foster parent for many abandoned children throughout the years and throughout the world. That single mother would soon heal from the pain of her past, starting a non-for-profit organization that provides mentorship and housing for single mothers. And not too long after the launch of our organization, a man after the Creator's own heart would take an interest in her, embracing the mother and her child. Ladies, you know that song. If you like it, ain't better put a ring on it. Because that fella sure did. They ended up happily married, and they stayed married too. That 18-year-old male would soon become a multi-millionaire, leading #1 in his industry because he utilized the skills he learned while operating his family business by himself. Now, would you look at that? But unfortunately, his father passed away. But his father's last wish was not for his son just to become a successful businessman. Nope. His father's last wish was for his son to be a beacon of light in a world that desperately needs it, by being someone that possesses great character and that would start the journey to philanthropy. And that's exactly what the son did in his father's honor. Now, some way, somehow, these 3 people's purpose collided together, causing a massive positive impact throughout the world because of their faith, stories, generosity, and collaboration. Who would have ever thought that these unforeseen situations would be the very thing that helped catapult these people to their purpose? I'm sure they did it. And so my question for you all is this: where in the world would you be right now if life did not catch you by surprise? Perhaps you wouldn't be sitting amongst the audience today. Perhaps you wouldn't be listening or watching this talk. Or perhaps you would not be in position to fulfill your life's purpose. You see, all of us are taggers, whether we know it or not. But it's not enough for us to just be taggers. But we must be something I love to call certified taggers. Here's the difference between a tagger and a certified tagger. A tagger is someone that can still be somewhat impactful in the world, but only to a certain degree because of unaddressed and unresolved problems from within. A certified tagger is a person that is a problem solver that makes the conscious decision to experience inner healing and wholeness for the sake of best serving humanity with no limits. How many of you want to serve humanity with no limits? I know I sure do. And here's the thing, all of us have the potential to become certified taggers if we prove to be worthy of that badge of honor. What if the pitfalls that we fell in life, or the pitfalls that someone else pushed us in, how many of you know that people could push you in some pitfalls? What if the pitfalls that we fell in life position us all to become certified taggers in a world that desperately needs people to be in? Let's use our imagination for a few moments. Let's imagine we're playing tag, and the only two players in this game are you and your purpose. Player one is you, and player two is your purpose. Your purpose is simply a solution to a problem in the world. So now that we have established our two players, we need somewhere to play, right? So let's imagine we're playing tag on a beach with the warmth of the sun shining on us, waves clashing, winds blowing, and seagulls singing. That doesn't really sound like seagulls, but y'all know. And on this beach, there's an ocean called deep hurt and trauma. It's very dirty, muddy, smelly, and there's floating garbage all over the place. And the legendary myth even says that this ocean whispers our darkest secrets and moments from our past. Who wants to go anywhere near this ocean? I don't. Now imagine you start to play this game of tag. And guess who's the first one to be it? You are. And out of all the spots to run and hide, guess who decides to run and dive into the ocean of deep hurt and trauma? Your purpose. Your purpose decides to run and dive into the ocean of deep hurt and trauma, screaming, "I bet you can't tag me now." Splash. So now here you are thinking you're just going to play tag on a nice warm sand. But nope. Your purpose decides to go into the ocean of what? Deep hurt and trauma. The reality is, we have two options. Option one, go after your purpose to tag it and bring it back to the seashore of life. Or option two, forfeit the game. But here's the thing, if you forfeit this game of life called tag, you would never know the magnitude of the impact that you could have made in this world. Ask me, how is that? Because taking that dive into the ocean of deep hurt and trauma is how we all become certified taggers. It is how we are all able to serve humanity with no limits. You see, I'm not going to admonish you all to take a dive into the ocean of deep hurt and trauma so you can become a certified tagger if I haven't done it myself. I had to take that dive. It was painful and uncomfortable, but I'm here to let you know that it was worth the swim. I had to take that dive in order for me to get to where I am today. And I'm not necessarily talking about being here on this stage, although it's an honor. But I'm talking about walking in my purpose as a certified tagger. You see, I would have never believed that I would be a mentor for thousands of youth and young adults. And here's why. I grew up in a single-parent home with 2 brothers and 4 sisters. My mom did the best with what she had as we survived off of welfare and Section 8 housing. My mother, Charlene Ruth Jones, was a conglomerate of many things. She was a poet, a woman of faith, and a philanthropist in her own right. But despite the beautiful things about my mother, she experienced a lot of obstacles. The financial burden was extremely heavy on her, as well as the load that came with being a single parent. My father was in and out of my life, but he was absent in the areas where I needed him the most. Where does a child go to receive a father's love, protection, wisdom, and affirmation? Who do they turn to? Who? And it wasn't the beatings that my parents gave me from time to time that hurt me the most. What hurt me the most was feeling like I had to fight for a spot in their hearts for them to love me. I'd never believed that I would be a catalyst to bring a confidence movement to the education arena by helping students to become confident academically, socially, and individually. And here's why. I was a student that many people counted out because of my inability to learn like all the other students. Life outside of home was also very difficult. People called me names like retard, Ed, slow, nigger, monkey, and so much more. For most of my academic career, I was in special education, but not always. There was a point early on in my educational journey when I did very well. But like I said, life was overwhelming. I no longer cared about my grades, and school had just become an outlet for me to escape from home and get those 2 meals a day. Y'all know what I'm talking about, that breakfast and lunch. I know what it feels like to have reduced lunch and not have the quarter to pay for it. How does a student focus on a test and they're trying to figure out where their next meal is coming from when they leave school? I know what it feels like to be embarrassed by the noise that your stomach is making because you didn't eat anything. I remember when there'd be little to no food to eat at home, and so I would go shopping with no money in my pockets, grabbing food off the shelves with my 5 fingers and a discount, ready to risk my freedom for a warm meal to eat. You see, it became normal for me as a child to put my survival mode over my moral code. Yeah, I knew right from wrong, but I had to eat. I remember when I was younger, and I wondered where my next meal would come from. We know that now. I remember when I wondered who would protect me from the abuse when I got home. There was times when I wondered who would hold me in their arms and speak positive words over my life when I felt insecure about myself. I wondered who would say, "Royal, I love you. You are significant, you are important, and you're going to make it." But I didn't always get that. I didn't always hear that during the seasons of my life when I needed it. And so here I am in school, and my teachers expected me to solve math problems when I was dealing with my own problem called trauma. My academics went downhill completely, as well as my confidence level. And see, you all can now realize or see the series of events that I had to go through to push past those labels. And the reality is, this is the untold story for a lot of students. I would have never believed that I would be someone that helps people overcome trauma. Nope. And here's why. I experienced some things no child should ever go through. But the sad reality is, what I'm about to share with you all is common for many vulnerable children that cannot defend themselves. I was abused emotionally, verbally, physically, and sexually. I was touched in private on my private parts, and it tore my identity apart completely and swiftly. I no longer viewed the world from a child's perspective because I was exposed to something and someone prematurely and unwillingly. After years of having unforgiveness in my heart, I had to evaluate whether or not if this unforgiveness was doing me more good or more damage. And it turned out that it was doing me more damage. And if anything, it wasn't doing me no good at all. Repeat after me. Say, unforgiveness doesn't do me no good at all. And so I had to make up in my mind whether or not if I was going to forgive the people that violated me. And I decided that I'm going to do that. I forgave the people that abused me. I forgave the people that mishandled me. I forgave the people that spoke against my potential prematurely because my outward expression of my inward pain gave them a reason to count me out of playing this game of life called tag. And lastly, I had to take a look in the mirror and say, Royal, I forgive you. I forgive you for making decisions that hindered your personal development. I finally got to a place in my life when I realized that my pain and suffering was not in vain, but I can indeed turn my pain into power. And how I was able to turn my pain into power was by using something I love to call the Relentless Code to become a certified tagger. The Relentless Code consists of 4 steps: accepting, forgiving, healing, and helping somebody else. I had to accept the fact that my upbringing wasn't the greatest. I had to forgive the people that abused me. I had to heal from the damaging words people called me and produced beyond the labels. And lastly, I had to help somebody else by using my message as a tool, as a bridge to reach those that feel lost, to reach those that feel depressed, to reach those that feel like giving up on life. And I'm here to let you all know that you all can become a certified tagger in your area of influence, regardless if you're a doctor, lawyer, entrepreneur, mother, father, pastor. You can become a certified tagger in this world that desperately needs it if you use the Relentless Code, which is accepting, forgiving, healing, and helping somebody else. Like my mentor says, I don't have time to tell the whole story, but what I want to leave with you all is this, and this is something that I share with my students as I travel and speak at different schools. And if you could just repeat after me. In a world, let's say with power, let's say with fire. In a world full of problems, we the people were born to solve them. We might not know how or know when, but do not count us out because we have not yet figured everything out. Within a moment of time, we can change the narrative of our future, of our family's future, of our community's future, of our nation's future. Now I want you all to ask me, how do I know? Because history has proven this to be true over and over again. Listen, I would like to stay in chat, but I gotta go. I'm your brother, Relentless Royal, and I'm tagging you all to be it.